Let's get some notes. When I was a little girl, I loved Dr. Seuss. Anybody else in here love Dr. Seuss?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I remember going to the elementary school library and talking to the librarian and asking them where they were and bringing them home and reading them. They're so much fun, right?
I'm just understanding Dr. Seuss as an adult.
You're just understanding Dr. Seuss as an adult. While I was doing some research for this talk this morning, I was on a site that is for Unity teachers, and one of the students of a Discover the Power Within You class had posted a piece of writing, and I want to share that with you. It was a student named Dennis Ashley, probably a class assignment about 4 years ago, maybe longer, and it's a poem called The Who and the What, in the style of Dr. Seuss. So if you've been around Unity for a while, you know or may have heard us talking about the truth of you is not who you are, it's what you are, right? The who is the personality, the ego, the self that you show to the world, and the what of you is that divine essence that you truly are, the eternal part of you, your higher self. So, who or what are you? Should we find out? Listen to this poem written by Dennis Ashley. I was making my who in my who-ness one day, when my what kept on nudging my who-ness away. You are not a who, you're a what, can't you see? But your who is so strong that your what cannot be. If only you'll let your what grow and grow, then you'll see that your who, well, it's only for show. The tracks of our who-ness, they muddy the day. It's only our whatness that shows us the way. No, wait, that's not true. Our who, it can sing. It can point to the what, and that's a powerful thing. Isn't that cute? I invite you to write in Dr. Seuss style. In the past month, I've been talking a lot with you about transformation, waking up and telling you that transformation can come in an instant, in a flash of knowing, but more often transformation takes time and work and unfolds in your life journey. So I want to tell a little bit about my journey this morning. When I was 38 years old, my dad died. And I just loved my father. He was a wonderful, beautiful man, just a kind spirit and just a great guy all around. So when he passed, it put me in a space that I had never been before, a grieving and a wondering, where did he go? What happened? Is he a what? Is he gone? Is he gone forever? And in this place of grieving, my life was in probably the deepest, darkest time I have ever experienced. My marriage was in trouble. I had 2 very little kids, a toddler and a newborn, and just in a world of hurt and grief. But I used this as a time of exploration. I would go to the library and the nonfiction spirituality section and read everything I could about life after death, spirituality, all those kinds of big questions that maybe some of you have wrestled with, probably most of you have wrestled with yourselves. I also started going to groups and getting a therapist, and I entered into a 12-step group for codependency. In my 20s and 30s, I didn't have a relationship with God. In fact, I would say I was mad at God. I was angry with God. And that was when I thought there was a God. The rest of the time, I didn't think there was a God. And then sometimes I was mad at God because I thought he didn't exist, he or she. So, any way you looked at it, it was God's fault. Even though I was sad and grieving, I began all this exploration, hoping that something might help. And it did. I began to sense a higher power and hear my higher power speak to me through other people, through their wisdom and experience and their connection with the divine. It spoke to me. And I read a daily meditation. I made the effort to connect. And eventually I did begin to trust in something bigger than myself. I learned about powerlessness and about reclaiming my own power. And in that process, I shopped for a church. I probably did some church shopping for about 2 years and eventually found Unity of the Valley Spiritual Center. When I started coming, John and I were separated, and I was very grateful to have a safe place for my kids to come. I just so blessed the Rainbow teachers, the Rainbow Circle teachers, and the nursery people back then. It was a lifesaver for me to be able to be in the service and know that my kids were in a great space. Those first months, I think I cried every Sunday in service. I heard messages like, "You are a child of God. You are made in the image and likeness of God. God is all good and present everywhere, in everything and everybody." And it was exactly what I needed to hear. I wasn't told that I was flawed or a sinner. I wasn't told that I was a bad person. I wasn't told that I needed saving. And I wasn't told that I deserved the pain that I was in. Instead, I heard a loving, affirmative message that God is love. God is present. And that wonderful prayer that we say at the end of every service, the prayer of protection, that just became such a touchstone for me. I felt loved and safe and embraced in spirit when I'd say that prayer. And speaking of God as Mother, Father God, or as Spirit, was a healing too. It helped me change that notion of an old, vengeful, wrathful, judging God. So I embraced Unity teachings, and also the teaching that Unity has about death. That death is just a passing from one phase of life into a different phase of life. James Stillett Friedman, our poet laureate, and he was also the head of Silent Unity for many years, wrote a beautiful poem about death, and he says it's the opening of one door and the closing of another. It's a transition. All these Unity teachings provided healing for me, and the community provided love and support for me, and I grew and flourished, and all that was part of my own transformation. So I look at my father's death as a turning point in my life, when the old ways of thinking and believing and acting just didn't cut it anymore. I needed a new way, something different. So I healed some wounds, I worked on my thoughts and beliefs, and over time, I was reborn. In a few weeks, we're going to start a study of Eric Butterworth's book, Discover the Power Within You. Eric Butterworth is probably the most famous Unity minister that has been. There's going to be more, but he wrote a lot of books, and they're all really great. And this one, Discover the Power, is probably the one that people know the best. You may have heard even Oprah Winfrey raving about it. It's a very good book. It's about the spiritual and metaphysical teachings of Jesus. And it's an example, really, of the basic Unity ideas. It's a great book for a springboard for discussion and self-reflection. So reading this book can be transformational. It's a warning. This morning I want to read to you a little story that's just in the prologue of the book. I'll need the book here. According to an old Hindu legend, there was a time when all men were gods, but they so abused their divinity that Brahma, the chief god, decided to take it away from men and hide it where they would never find it again. Where to hide it became the big question. When the lesser gods were called into council to consider that question, they said, "We will bury man's divinity deep in the earth." But Brahman said, "No, that will not do, for man will dig deep down into the earth and find it." Then they said, "Well, we will sink his divinity into the deepest ocean." But again, Brahma replied, "No, not there, for man will learn to dive into the deepest waters. We'll search out the ocean bed and we'll find it." Then the lesser gods said, "Well, we will take it to the top of the highest mountain and there hide it." But again, Brahman replied, "No, for man will eventually climb every high mountain on earth. He will be sure someday to find it and take it up again for himself." Then the lesser gods gave up, and they concluded, "We don't know where to hide it, for it seems there's no place on earth or in the sea that man will not eventually reach." Then Brahma said, "Here is what we will do with man's divinity. We will hide it deep down in man himself, for it will never think to look for it there." So ever since then, the legend continues, man has been going down and up and down earth, climbing, digging, diving, exploring, searching for something that is already inside himself. Are you seeking? Are you searching? I invite you to place your hand on your heart. Do you know what you are? Do you know what you seek? That what you seek, you already are? You are a child of God. You are a unique expression of divinity. You're a divine being having this human life experience on this beautiful little green and blue planet we call Earth. You're a child of God. And that's beautiful to know, isn't it? Yeah. That is what Jesus discovered, and that's the truth he came here to teach us about and to live as an example for us. And that's what this book is about as well. In Unity, we are a mix of people with a mix of beliefs. We say that the Bible is our textbook. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, says the Bible is the story of man's evolution in consciousness. So we take the Bible not literally, but as mythology and as story for us to work with. Some of us believe that Jesus was a real human being who lived in the past and breathed and walked on this earth. Others of us believe that he is a myth based on even older myths. In Unity, we don't make anybody right or wrong about their beliefs. Isn't that the beauty of Unity? You get to be where you're at with this. I know when I read and study and work with spiritual practices in my own life, I find that I change my mind about things. Do you? I hope you do too. So we are open to change. We're open to new ideas. That's what growth and transformation is all about. We're free to explore and discover for ourselves. And that's really, really good. Whether Jesus was a real person or not, the words and actions and stories attributed to him, they provide spiritual teachings for us. Principles and ideas for us to integrate and reflect upon and use in our lives. In the recovery world, there's a great phrase, take what you like and leave the rest. This is your spiritual journey. No one's going to tell you what to believe or do or think. This is your opportunity to live from spirit Butterworth's book explains that Jesus taught about our spiritual unity with God, and his ministry was all about helping people understand their potential. Turning points, wake-up calls, introducing ourselves to our higher self. Last spring, my husband John and I took a trip to Europe. It was part business and part pleasure. We started out in Germany, where we had lived for about 3 or 4 years when we were first married. And then we ended the trip visiting some friends in London, which was really a lot of fun. And then on a long plane ride back home, we watched a movie together called Saving Mr. Banks. Maybe some people have seen it. It's the story of how Walt Disney convinced the author of Mary Poppins books to make the stories into a movie. It's really a good movie. If you haven't seen it, I invite you to check it out on Netflix. At one point in the movie, the songwriters were bringing the author in, what is his name, P.L. Travers, to listen to some lyrics and a new tune that they had just written that they wanted to use in the movie. And throughout the movie, she's just been this stick in the mud. She's just a curmudgeon, you know. Interesting to write something like that, and that was her personality about this. Just disagreeable and demanding and just not enjoying this process. But in this scene, when she hears, "Let's go fly a kite," something awakens and shifts for her, and she ends up dancing and singing along. And both John and I were crying in the airplane. It's a very touching scene. And we talked then later about how that song affected us as kids, too, because it was emotional in the original Mary Poppins movie. It's at the end of the movie when the father repairs his son's kite and comes to an awareness that his family means more to him than his job, and he's ready to be present to them and enjoy the day of flying a kite. Beautiful, beautiful sentiments. I know that you have transformation stories of your own, and that's exciting, and we're all going to have more to come. This month we've been working on self-awareness and self-acceptance as spiritual practices. So I invite you to keep it on with that. It's an ongoing process. And as I was thinking about working with self-awareness, I was wondering about how aware we are of unity in a larger capacity. I know we know a lot about what goes on here on Sunday and in our community, but we are part of a bigger community, Unity Worldwide. Unity holds an annual conference every summer. And this past summer, they adopted some new mission statements and new vision statements, and they're exciting, and I want to share that with you. But first, let's look at our own, shall we? I think we have slides. This is Unity of the Valley's mission statement. It's in their bulletin every week, but I wanted you to see that. What a beautiful slide. Thanks, Joe. Let's just say it together, shall we? A world awakened to oneness. It's beautiful, very powerful. And then our mission statement, let's say that together too. Unity of the Valley is transforming lives through teaching and practicing universal spiritual principles. That's just cool. Our mission is to advance our vision statement and awaken the world. It's all in alignment, and it's really good. And now I want to share the brand new vision and mission statements of our larger organization. And I don't think they've changed these. I think these have been around for the old version was maybe 5 or 6 years. So this is really new, and you're going to be surprised how similar it is to ours. So this is the worldwide vision statement. Let's say that together too. A world powerfully transformed through growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. Doesn't that sound like a world awakened to oneness? Yeah. And then the new mission statement. And let's say this together. Advancing the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living. We are a positive path for spiritual living. And this part I really get excited as our core values. I don't know, something about these words just so resonate with me. If we take these into our lives and make this our spiritual practice to live in accordance to these words, wow, that's a life journey, that's a spiritual journey. So first up, we are spirit-led. Generosity, transformation, diversity, integrity, and unity. Sit with that for a minute. It's good, isn't it? Yeah. Very good. And then the guiding scripture for this new mission and vision. Let's say that together too. Let all that you do be done in love. Wonderful. That's what we want to see here. Working together in love, serving together in love, being here for one another in love. Are you buying into this? I hope so. So, do you know what you are? You are love in action. You are the light, and love, and power, and presence of spirit in the world. You are an amazing child of God. And you're here to live and enjoy and give and breathe and be in generosity and in spirit and move on your spiritual journey. We are so blessed that we can be here and be this together. The divine light in me honors the divine light